Hey, this is Kenny's Audio Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my video. As always, if you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. That'll help me out. In this video, I'm going to review 3 jazz records. The second jazz record that I review in this video is a record that was mentioned by 2 of my viewers in a video that I did not too long ago. I'm going to review that record as well. And I should mention this, and I mention this often, and I apologize, but I do not play music in my videos because of copyright infringement issues. I can have my video taken down. It's not worth the risk. I say that a lot because I get asked a lot constantly. So I'm going to get to the reviews. The first one is an album by Richard Davis, the great bass player Richard Davis, the jazz wave Richard Davis. Now, the actual title of this album is called Muses for Richard Davis. And depending what area of the world you reside, the cover art of the album that was issued in your country can be different from the one I have. This one was issued on PA USA Records. I will show you the record label. And it features several great jazz musicians on this record. I'll show you the song listing and the musicians, but it features Richard Davis bass, Freddie Hubbard trumpet, Jerry Dugan alto sax, Eddie Daniels tenor sax, Pepper Adams baritone sax, Roland Hana piano, Louis Hayes drums. This was issued in 1970. This is an acoustic jazz album. I know a lot of you out there don't like electronic jazz, jazz fusion. You can't stand that. I love it to death. But there's a very nice example of acoustic jazz, in my opinion. Has a great variety of jazz on here. The first composition, called Milk Train, is a great example of straight ahead jazz. The second song on side 1 is called A Child is Born, which is a beautiful jazz piece. It sounds spectacularly beautiful. You check out A Child is Born. And on side 2, the song Muses for Richard Davis. It's a composition or song for bass and trumpet where you have Richard Davis in the middle of the soundstage with his bow playing the bass. And you have Freddie Hubbard on trumpet, and the sound of trumpet is echoing, delaying in the left and right speaker. A nice effect. Matter of fact, Freddie Hubbard is playing in a style that Miles Davis plays in. Matter of fact, you would think that if you know Freddie Hubbard was on this album, you would think it was Miles Davis. The acoustic jazz performance on this record, in my opinion, stands the test of time fabulously. It's not dated, even though it was issued in 1970. And it's a great jazz performance, in my opinion. I'm going to give the performance on this record, which is quite great, an 8.5. The sound is a different story. It is, they really did not represent the frequency range evenly, in my opinion. In other words, the upper register frequencies were enhanced on this record, and it's a little bit hot, a little bit thin. And that's a shame because Richard Davis is a bass player. So I thought they could have represented the frequency spectrum a little bit better. There's some of a thin treble intensive recording. So I'm going to give the sound a 7.5. But it's something you should definitely check out, this record, in my opinion, on YouTube. See if you like it. You know, it was mixed well, separated. The separation was great. It was just treble intensive. Too treble intensive for my taste, but it's a very great jazz performance. Muses for Richard Davis. Richard Davis issued in 1970. Now the next record I'm going to review and assess was mentioned by a couple of viewers in a video not too long ago, a Freddie Hubbard record on CTI Records. And it's called Freddie Hubbard Skydive. This album features jazz legends. Ron Carter bass, Freddie Hubbard obviously on trumpet, Billy Cobham drums, George Benson guitar, Keith Jarrett piano and keyboards, Airto Maria and Ray Barretto percussion, Hubert Laws. He played multiple instruments, I believe. On this one, he played flute, alto flute, and bass flute on this album. This was issued in 1973 on CTI Records. This is like a jazz, funk jazz fusion record. A nice vehicle for Freddie Hubbard at the time. I'll show you the inside of the gatefold. Nice picture of brother Freddie Hubbard inside. In the first song, Povo, some of you may not like the vocal intro to that song. I quite like it. It's quite fine. And some of you might think the vibe and groove of this album is quite dated. I don't think so either. But the first composition, or song Povo, Freddie Hubbard solos fabulously on the song Povo. He's playing, you know, just in a spectacular fashion. George Benson is just getting down on that composition. George Benson is amazing on the song Povo. There's a nice solo, I believe, by Hubert Laws. The only issue I have with that song Povo is the time they gave Keith Jarrett on keyboard to improvise. He should have had more time and space for improvisation, or for solo play, I should say. Keith Jarrett, one of the great improvisational musicians, regardless of genre, as far as I'm concerned, and he should have more time to play and improvise on that piece. That's the only fault I have on that piece. On side 2, you have The Godfather, which is a spectacular jazz interpretation of the theme from the movie, with great play by Freddie Hubbard. I believe he's in the center of the sound stage. And there's great solos, great play by Ron Carter on bass, and Keith Jarrett on piano on the song The Godfather. You want to check that out. And the title track on this album, excuse me, pardon me, Skydive. It was a great selling point for this album at the time, I'm sure. Skydive is a composition, a vibe groove you could listen to over and over again. A great vehicle for Freddie Hubbard at that time. If I would judge the performance of this, it's very similar to the first album. The performance is 8.5. Does this performance stand up to Red Clay? No, it does not. Red Clay is probably a benchmark in terms of CTI Records and Freddie Hubbard's CTI catalog. This one does not hold up to Red Clay, but it's great and it's very good in its own right. The sound, like I said, it suffers a little bit because I don't think that the drums and the percussion instruments were presented well on this recording. In my opinion, it was mixed well, but some of the instruments did not come across very well in a three-dimensional stereo sound space. So just like the previous one, sound gets a 7.5. But if you're a Freddie Hubbard fan, don't have this record, check it out on YouTube. Freddie Hubbard, Skydive, 1973 issue on CTI Records. The last record I'm going to mention is called New Wave, the new John Handy Quintet featuring Bobby Hutcherson. Now, this album originally was released in 1967. I have a reissue copy. I don't have a Columbia 6i labeled version. I'll show you the back of the cover and the song listing. This album features John Handy, alto sax, Bobby Hutcherson, vibes, the great Pat Martino on guitar. I'm going to get to him in a second. Albert Stinson, drums. The song on side 1 is called Naima, and it's in memory of John Coltrane. Now, it does not have the same vibe and groove of John Coltrane's legendary composition, but it's a beautiful piece nonetheless in memory of John Coltrane, one you should definitely check out. But the gem of this album, in my opinion, is the song on side 2, which covers the entirety of side 2. The entire length of side 2 is called Tears of Old Miss, an Anatomy of a Riot. Now, this song was inspired by the riots in 1962 that ensued in 1962 at Mississippi University about that became an issue because of the issue of James Meredith, who wanted to attend the University of Mississippi, African American, and the riots ensued because of that. Matter of fact, John F. Kennedy had to call in several thousand troops to calm that situation down. But James Meredith, a great legendary African American civil rights individual, what a great, beautiful person he is. And this song was, the inspiration from that song was from that issue. But it's a type of song that you should listen to in its entirety, in my opinion. Get the vibe and groove and total gist of that song and composition. And oh, by the way, if I failed to mention this, this was recorded live at the Village Gate, this album. It was issued in 1967, recorded live at the Village Gate. Sorry if I did not mention that. But Tears of Ole Miss, like I said, you should listen to the entirety of the piece because the great solos by John Handy, Bobby Hutcherson, and there's a really great solo by Pat Martino on guitar. A great jazz piece, an emotional, inspirational jazz piece that you definitely listen to. New View, the new John Handy quintet with Bobby Hutcherson and crew, featuring great Pat Martino on guitar. Album you should definitely check out. The performance on this one, again, gets an 8.5, just like the other ones. And it suffers in sound because this was a live recording. It wasn't recorded that well, probably wasn't mic'd that well. It's a nice stereo recording, but it could have been more pristine and detail. Could have had more, some of the instruments could have had more presence, you know, more of detail in terms of the timbre and the beauty of the instruments, that the way it comes across in a three-dimensional soundstage. Could have come across a little bit better. And this, again, this is kind of lean on the upper register. It's hot. It should have been, again, like the other ones. The first one, they could have represented a frequency spectrum better. So this too gets a 7.5 as well. Performance 8.5. The new View, the new John Handy Quintet. Check it out on YouTube. If you have any of those records, please leave your comments in the comment section below. I really appreciate it. Check out those Amazon affiliate links in the description below. The sale of those products, so I get a commission for it. That help my channel out going forward. Even if you'll purchase those items, I get a commission. If you click on those items, buy something else, I get a commission for that sale. That'll help me out. I really appreciate it. Also, if you have ideas for videos or records you want me to check out, I might consider in future. There's no guarantee I will actually use those ideas or album recommendations. After all, I have to have the album, but it's something I may consider in a video in the future. Thank you very much for viewing my video. Please like and subscribe. God bless, strong love, and keep the peace worldwide.